reached the 5 o'clock hour, I'd like to convene the Committee of the Whole City Council and ask for a roll call, please.
Jacobson. Fanouken.
Here.
Markwart.
Here.
Snow.
Here.
Noriko.
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Favor.
Here.
Ray.
Here,
7 present.
thank you. Okay, on our agenda this evening for Committee of the Whole, we have considerations. First up is request for a proposal for professional auditing services. I'll call on Bob Miller to introduce this topic this evening.
All right, good evening, Mayor and City Council. The first item we had was a request for professional auditing services. Our current contract with our auditor, Lauterbach and Amann, ended with the audit on 6/30/2015, and we'll be looking to go out for services beginning with the upcoming audit at the end of June 2016. The best practice in the industry is going out to bid for 4 or 5 years, and we will bring the final results of the RFP and recommendation to the City Council sometime in April or May. Are there any questions?
Alderman Snow.
How long has the current firm been auditing our,
3 years?
do we normally have a requirement that we change auditing firms every so often, or do we have? I mean,
We
I
have.
think other businesses have that.
Yes.
Kind of requirement that you don't have the same auditing firm forever. So, are we expecting to have a different firm than audit?
I mean, I would give the audit out, the RFP out to our current provider as well. But yeah, you normally would switch it up every, 4 to 5 years and get a new auditor in.
Okay, so that's something we will decide once we get the request back, whether
Right.
it's useful this time to change or not. But,
Right, once we get the proposals
Okay.
back.
I mean, 3 years is not that long, but, my recommendation would be we do change occasionally, so, okay, thank you.
Well, Bob, any requirements that would be advantageous that the current firm has in their experience with us should be reflected in their RFP response, I would assume.
It would, yes, they should say that they, based on their response, they probably would mention that they've been here, 3 years or so and have at least knowledge of the current practice and that not. So that would be, reflected in their bid.
And I assume they change out their team members periodically.
We could request that if that was the issue. If they were coming back here, we probably could request them to change out their team.
Okay. Alderman Fanouken.
Bob, I noticed in the proposal that it talks about only accepting electronic responses. Reason for that, or is that something that we're going to move to more long-term, just become more paperless, or what was the intent?
I believe that's something new we're doing on our website.
In for this proposal, it was just the recommendation of the finance director to go electronic. I mean, it is something that we can consider for future RFPs. I think each request for proposal may be slightly different depending upon the documentation or attachments that may be submitted.
Okay, just thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Alderman Baker.
Alderman Snow, hopefully you can help us watch this closely. I do believe the last time we switched, it was brought to our attention by our staff that the industry standard for municipalities to change auditing, I thought it was 3 years. And I'm not looking for an answer right now, but that's my memory, because the one that we had before that was very long-standing. And I can tell you for sure, as an alderman, when we had those annual audits, and I attempted to bring to their attention that there were potential problems, I was never contacted by them. So, in other words, some of those audits in the past were so superficial, previous staff, not our current staff, and I'm not sure how it even works right now, simply all they did was make sure the numbers balanced that they were given to them by our staff. And that's how Dixon got in trouble. They didn't have an in-depth enough audit. And maybe every now and then, maybe this time, one of the alternatives for the RFP, just so that we all can feel better about things, and we're all feeling really good right now, I'm sure, is to see how much extra it costs to do the in-depth audit where they actually don't just check the numbers and talk with the heads, but an in-depth audit in my mind would include even going out and seeing if there really is so many estimated tons of salt on hand, that type of thing. But it would be, in the past, it was very difficult for the council to know what was going on when they presented, and we're not doing it this way anymore, but the fund balance is on one night, and then the general fund the next night, and we didn't realize many years ago that they were simply transferring the money back and forth, which was acceptable accounting standard for all municipalities at the time.
Yeah, my concern was not, I think all the firms should do the same in-depth audit. My concern was just a fresh set of eyes, sometimes looking at an issue. But I would expect every auditing firm to do the same in-depth audit.
I don't think we're getting that in-depth audit. I don't know that we ever have. It's very expensive. That's why I'm asking for maybe a special attention to give us some choices. Unless you can tell us right now how far they go into it.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know in part of the RFP, there are separate sections that they can put their, what services they would be providing for that, what cost, so we can get the same, I guess, package for all auditors that are responding. So,
One of the other components of the packet as put together by the finance director was a provision that they provide a fee schedule for hourly services if the city wanted to ask for some supplemental services. And those would be for different levels of experience in their agency. So that is something that if the city sought to identify and define some more specific proposal you wanted or more additional services in a given year, we could require that under the proposal.
I have no reason to believe it's happening now, but or that it ever happened at the city of DeKalb, but one of the easiest ways to, shall we say, not give a clear enough picture would be they could be behind, like the state of Illinois maybe, they could be behind 6 months in invoices sitting in a drawer and envelopes not even opened yet, and maybe all we know is what's in the computer. So that would be maybe the level to get a totally accurate picture and try to get it up to whatever standard we want, whether it's 2 weeks old or 30 days old or something like that. But that would give us a super accurate picture of there's many things that they could do, but I think maybe as a council, we ought to have a grocery list of things to decide how far we want to go.
I know one of the things that the auditors do look at is our internal control, our internal processes. So based on what our processes are, can someone put AP in a drawer? But if that's not our current process is not, that's not what it is. Our current process is get our bills paid. So based on that scenario, they would review our process, they would spot check a few of those processes and then see that we're doing what we say we're doing. So and they do that through every internal control process in the finance department.
Well, I'm not saying we're going to ask to have this done, but they could even go to the level of checking with vendors to find out if they're holding back billing on items that maybe the bill's not even in the mail because they're waiting for the next year's budget for some odd reason. I don't know where we want to start and end, but I'd certainly, after all these years, like to look at a grocery list, and especially since we have some experience on the council with Alderman Snow, to take an extra look at this.
Okay. Other discussion or input? Is there any objection to staff moving forward with the RFP process for these auditing services? If so, speak up. Okay. Bob, I think you have direction from council and Anne Marie.
Thank you.
Let's move to the next item, Spyglass Telecommunication Savings Summary.
Okay.
Bob?
This is just a follow-up or a summary based on what we had given direction for previously. Back in July of 2013, or July 13, 2015, the city council gave us approval to have an agreement with, between City of DeKalb and Spyglass. Spyglass reviewed all the city's telecommunication services and invoices and determined where possible savings might exist. They contacted our vendors, kind of looked at our current contracts, and based on that, came out with some savings that we would be able to get on an annual basis. When they looked at Frontier, which is our local vendor, our local phone vendor, they came up with an annual savings of roughly $7,300 by negotiating a lower rate with them. And we kind of looked at some of our lines and just kind of seeing if they need to be used or not used. So they kind of worked with us after they looked at what our current line system was, and just kind of said, hey, are you guys using this or not using these? And we kind of worked with them and kind of got disconnected some of the ones that weren't being used. There was a billing error that they found as well. As far as our long distance, they kind of changed our current plan over to a different plan just to get a better savings, and that was roughly about $2,100. And then on our wireless program, our wireless phones, we're going to see an annual savings about $8,900 by changing from an unlimited plan per phone to more of a pooled minute plan. So as a completion of this project, we're going to be saving about $18,400 on an annual basis going forward, and we'll be able to start seeing that within the next fiscal year.
Questions? Alderman Noriko?
Are the savings within the range of what was expected with this study?
Yes, sir, they are.
Okay. And also, what did Spyglass charge for the study?
They charge roughly about 1 year of the savings.
Oh,
So I think
So the savings will actually,
that's why the
you
savings
take it-
will
okay.
take place next year, yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Other questions or discussion? Alderman Faber.
I just want to thank you for digging into that. I think this is an excellent example of looking into cost savings projects within the city, and I just congratulate you for doing that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Other discussion? Hearing none, do we have anyone registered to speak? City Clerk? Okay. There are forms as you come in to register. Bessie, come to the podium. In the future, if you please register so we'd have those. I realize tonight there's not a large gallery.
I didn't realize that if it's posted for public participation like that, that you have to sign up for it.
Yes.
You do. Oh, Lord. Okay. Real quick question. On the first item, the RFP for the auditing services, I think some of the questions that I had were kind of already answered. Do we have an idea of what the cost approximately is going to be on that? And has anybody thought of maybe running this by the Finance Advisory Committee too, for a little bit of input and vetting? And why is it taking so long? If I read the minutes correct, or the information correctly, it's not going to get done until like the end of March, or it's not going to be ready until then? Am I correct? Or why does it take so long to go through the RFP process?
Well, I think from a
Help.
large standpoint, you want to give the vendors an opportunity to respond to the RFP process. I don't think we want to rush that process. And this certainly fits the city's fiscal needs and calendar. City manager?
I would concur with that. The actual cost, we would have to look at what we're currently paying Lauterbach and Ammon. I'm guessing it's going to be in the approximate same general area, but we'll see.
Which is?
I think, I don't know offhand, if we had, unless our Assistant Finance Director knows offhand.
Okay.
Yeah, we pay about $28,700 currently, but we also get some of that paid back from the two pension funds, the library, and a few other, things. So,
Thank
but
you.
the total cost is $28,700.
Thank you.
And the other question, my alderman read my mind already. She's really getting good. Was the cost for the spyglass? It was said that it's whatever the
1 year
annual
of
cost,
savings.
which is what?
18,000.
Specific number,
18,000,
but that won't be recognized for a while yet, right?
it's the first year of savings.
Okay, so half of that is what it costs every year?
No,
just once?
18,000, let me find the specific amount.
Yes, it's over 18,000 that's going to be saved.
$18,465.16 annually. Spyglass is charging the first year of those savings for their services.
One-time charge.
One time, that was my
Thank you.
question. Okay, thank you. See,
You're welcome.
that's all you had to say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve executive session to discuss personnel as provided for in 5 ILCS 120/2C1?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Noriko. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Alderman Faber. Roll call.
Fanouken,
Yes.
Markort,
Yes.
Snow,
Yes.
Noriko,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay. We'll move to the large conference room and plan to reconvene toward the 6 o'clock hour.